Welcome, everybody, to your Sunday, to earthquakes, smoke, and storms. Oh my! What a crazy 24 hours across North Carolina. I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy. We have a lot to talk about. It was an active day yesterday with the heat, with the storms. Then this morning, we top it all off that the western side of North Carolina had an earthquake. So moving on to that. So it was a magnitude 3.2 earthquake in the North Carolina mountains. This happened west of Asheville. This happened officially at 6:09. And the technical data here comes from just 3 kilometers, so it's less than 2 miles north of West Canton, North Carolina. And how that equates everything about as far as the intensity goes, it could be felt, but it's nothing really major. So nothing as far as damage is expected from this, just really kind of a what was that start to the day for a lot of people. So that's the one thing that people are waking up to. And as far as the reports go, some people even felt it as far east as around Asheville. So this graphic that's about to pop up is showing just that about what the impacts were, what people were feeling across the area. So this is called the Community Internet Intensity Map, showing that at least a 2 to 3 was felt around Asheville. And this brings me back to 2020 when there was, I think, a 4.4 in Sparta, North Carolina. You can feel it as far south as Rock Hill. Pretty crazy. Joy says you don't expect earthquakes in North Carolina. They happen more than you think. Usually around a 2 range. Once it's 3, it catches attention a little bit more because at that point you can physically feel it. So an earthquake happened. Again, no damage, just kind of a shock and awe to the system, like what's going on, especially after an active start to the day. So let's look at the earthquake magnitudes. This kind of brings into perspective. This would technically, by the Richter scale, be considered minor. Only about 100,000 of these happen per year. Once it gets over 4, it's about 10,000 per year. One actually happened in Fiji this morning that was around a 4.4. Once you get to 5, that's moderate, and then that's kind of unprecedented for the Carolinas in general. So, earthquake happened. There was a bunch of other things that also happened in the weather world. We had some storms last night, and then meanwhile, if we go up to Nova Scotia, there's a big time fire. So what you're looking at right now is the smoke forecast. So this simply means for us here in the Carolinas, it could look a little hazy tomorrow. We had a little bit of haze on Friday from this. Massive wildfires, if you haven't heard it from the news, is getting caught up in the jet stream, and that's going to drag some smoke down for a considerable haziness. That means that even if a day is completely sunny, Carolina blue skies, the sun might even look milky in some areas, especially off towards the northeast, because that smoke that's dragged up in the atmosphere. And you can see that that jet stream is going all crazy, and eventually it's going to lift off towards the north and not affect us. So that gets to 2 of our headlines: earthquakes, smoke, and now the last one, storms. This is a loop from 6 o'clock to I think I ended around 11 o'clock last night. You might have gotten kind of caught off guard by some of these storms. Yesterday, we were calling for storms. That wasn't incorrect. But the magnitude about how many storms flourished across the area, that kind of was a shock and out of the system. It was around the cold front that this originated, but it affected a lot of us, where these storms produced some actually pretty decent wind damage around southern Iredell County, around Mooresville. There were down power lines, there were down trees, and that one hail icon that you're seeing right on the extreme northeastern corner of Lincoln County, that was quarter size hail. So that first storm that rolled through and eventually it reached Gaston County, I think was a beast. That was a monster. So trees down, power lines down, as I mentioned. A lot of this is being cleaned up now, but what a line of storms, and pretty much everyone had some sort of rain. Only exception is far southeastern and northwestern side of our viewing area. But if you're watching anywhere from Statesville over to Gaston County to Concord, Charlotte, we all saw the storms last night, and no storms today. That's the good news. But also, finally, we hit 90 degrees. Well, 91 specifically, which, by the way, is the hottest average high temperature that we have during the middle of July. So this was more of a July day compared to June, but we finally did it. It's usually May 20th that we have our first 90-degree day. This is the 36th latest that our first 90-degree day has ever been hit in Charlotte. 36th latest, and that's out of 144 years. So it's rarer than not for us to be this hot this late. And now we'll be back to June as usual here going forward. So a hot day yesterday, but it's also a crazy roller coaster. 91 turning out to 44 today. So up and down we go. Yesterday was the hottest day of the week. Well, actually, today is the coolest day. So, what a difference the weekend makes. I'm moving on to tomorrow. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. There's a lot to talk about, but I'm pretty much going to hit all the bullet points here. Tomorrow, I'm focusing on because that's our next round of storms. So, it completes our earthquake, smoke, and storms edition here at WCNC Charlotte. The storms that we're seeing tomorrow could have a similar setup. We don't necessarily have the same front, but I think one storm could turn to two to four, where they turn into multi-cluster thunderstorms. That is going to happen, I think, starting in the foothills, works its way from northwest to southeast this time. Just be aware that this is going to be happening, I think, late afternoon, heading into the evening, especially for the evening. So here's what it looks like for your Monday. Today, by the way, starting off cloudy. There were other today graphics, but they get skipped. I hit the button too many times. But so just letting you know, today starts off cloudy, see some sunshine. Same thing tomorrow. Starts off cloudy, we see sunshine. That sunshine is storm fuel. So that's going to juice up the atmosphere. That's why once you head into the early evening, you start seeing this activity. There it is. Notice 7 o'clock. I'm going to open up our window from 4 to 10. 4 to 10 is your best chance for storms tomorrow, and then these start to flourish. You especially see that closer to about that 7, 8, 9 o'clock. The map doesn't look to see a lot at this point, but yesterday's Futurecast showed the exact same thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if you have a trough near the area that you start to see storms fire up. By the end of the evening, we're starting to calm things down. So that's our next chance for severe weather, storms in general. Just be aware, especially from Hickory to Charlotte. Guy Roofing 7-day forecast as we wrap this up with a bow. We're in the 80s. We should be in the mid 80s this time of June. That's what we're doing most of next week. Your best chance for rain are Monday evening, Wednesday night, and again, Thursday evening to Friday morning. Then we're back to the mid 80s next weekend. Well, Dorothea, I think that's how you say your name. Joy, thank you for the two that commented here from Facebook. Always appreciate you. Hopefully, you all had a wonderful weekend. It's not over yet. Let's make it a good one. I'm Chris Mulcahy. Great being back here on the weekends filling in for Brittany. I appreciate you. Hopefully, you're going to have a good day and, hey, have an even better week. Take care.